Welcome back to Chocolate and Spice Talk, where my sister and I explore real topics with real stories and a lot of love. I'm Neha, and today we're diving into something close to our hearts: building communities.
Hey everyone, I'm Nidhi, and today we are about to learn why, how, and what it takes to build communities.
Exactly. So I live in Cambrian, which is a thriving neighborhood in San Jose, California, and I've been fortunate to become part of a very large and beautiful family oriented community in the area I live in. It's called CIF, or Cambrian Indian Families. This community is built for Indian families living in Cambrian and was started to give a sense of connection to culture, to tradition, and most importantly, to each other. So, from celebrating Diwali together to hosting community potlucks and cultural events, CIF has become a space where people can show up for one another. And today, we are very excited and honored to welcome a very special guest, Priti Didi. Priti Didi is one of the core admins of the community, which is now so popular, it has its own offshoot. For example, there is a Cambrian Indian Families Rocking Ladies, which is a WhatsApp group that has over 800 women who come together to share and learn about any topic you could think of. There are similar communities for gardeners and sports, and even a thriving local marketplace where you can exchange, sell, or get for free some of the best things you need at just the right time.
Oh wow, that is a very, very large community. So let's learn more about what it takes to build, maintain, and support such large communities. All right, Preeti, let's get started. We are so excited to learn from you. And for those who don't know, what exactly is CIF and how did it actually start?
So it started, I believe, more than 10 years ago. So we moved into this community in 2012. We moved here and we got to know about, you know, a few Indian families. And then slowly within a year, they said, okay, we have a Yahoo group. I believe Yahoo group used to exist once upon a time. And that's how it started with like 10 or 12 families. And that's how we were connected. And we used to get together and celebrate festivals. And it seemed like a very, manageable, cohesive, small group. And then slowly it started growing, and Yahoo Group did not like look feasible or easy enough to, navigate. And WhatsApp was coming up. And so I believe one of the very, so I'm not like a core member. I'm like somewhere like 5 or 6 years down the line when I joined. But the initial core members, they thought of starting a WhatsApp group. And so we joined, and then suddenly within a couple of years, it exploded. Community kept growing at such a pace that they couldn't keep up. And then they needed more hands. And so then they asked, in the bigger community, like who would want to help? And a friend of mine was one of the admins, and she reached out and she said, it would be nice to have like a good representation of North and South.
Yeah, and it's a really, really happening large community out here in Cambrian. But Preeti, what do you think makes it really special in your opinion?
I feel that it's interesting how when you're in India, you are within your own bubble, right? Like you create your own bubbles. Um, and when you get out of India is when you start seeking for people to expand your bubble, because your bubble has burst, you have nobody, and then you want to keep your identity, right? And but you explore, and you want to also reach out to people that you are comfortable, right, with interacting. So when we created this community, and when it had a good number of, like, I think we had reached around 250 or 300, we started feeling really um, like we were able to serve a purpose. There is like difference in age, difference in which state you're coming from, right? But in the end, you still want to feel like you belong here outside, right, of your own country. And so we are able to celebrate all special festivals, not just from India, but also from the US, right? For example, we used to, pre-COVID, after COVID, things have changed during COVID also. But pre-COVID, we used to have the Easter egg hunt. right? Um, Families used to get together and go for Halloween trick or treating. We had Garba, of course. Holi has just started. So, giving everybody an opportunity to come together and be able to celebrate and feel like, I can reach out to somebody in my community in Cambrian with anything that I need help with, and I know that I will be able to get it. So that's what I feel is so special.
I think that is the beauty of it. I mean, the fact that you build a community where you can trust each other and you can lean on each other in, especially if you're newer to the area or to the country.
Hmm.
In terms of building the community, what are the key ingredients you think that make a more meaningful and a lasting community? Because, like you said, it's been on for 10 years, which is
Hmm.
incredible if you think about the fact that it's completely volunteer led.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I feel it's the sentiments or the feelings, right? Indians, as Indians, we feel a lot, we express a lot, and we want to connect a lot, right? And when we come here, suddenly we feel lost and we don't know how to connect, right? And so I feel like CIF gives the Indian community a space to be themselves, feel more confident and supported. For those who don't have a family here, Cambrian really has the CIF community has given quite a few of us a sense of belonging. And we have built our own network of friends who are now almost like family. Like we go on vacations together. Our kids are growing up together and they have role models in each other, right? And it's so easy even for our kids who are growing up. Most of them are going to college for the first time, so they're kind of like first generation students in the US, and it's a difficult path for parents. We don't know, we were not raised here, right? So through them we are learning and they are learning with each other, and it's really it feels good that we are not alone, that there are other people. And so those who have been here slightly earlier than us are now guiding us, and hopefully we will be able to do the same and give back. So there is a really good sense of giving back and supporting each other, which I feel really good about. And another thing that really stands out when I talk to other people, and when they hear about Cambrian, and they're like, "Oh my God, we don't have this. Like Cupertino doesn't have this. Almaden doesn't have this," and they are desperate to join this space because it does so much and it has grown so much and it's so vibrant. So I feel lucky to be part of this community.
It is incredible. I mean, you introduced me to it, and I kid you not, it's more for context for our listeners. Every single day, there are so many very helpful messages ranging from, is this a safe place to go? Here's the
Hmm.
latest news. Here's somebody I need for help in my house. Can you confirm they are good? Like, and
Yeah.
I'm into gardening and I've joined the gardening club. Like, here are some plants, here are some seeds. Did you want it? And it's amazing the
Yeah.
way you could connect if you ever wanted to. So that's really incredible.
Yeah.
And this is a huge group. I did not know about the size of how huge it is. And managing this large group, especially with so many different personalities, certainly can't be easy, right? So, what are the challenges that you have faced, and how do you deal with them?
Yeah. Actually, to think about it, it's not hard. It's not hard at all if you know what your intentions are and if they are in the right place and you are here to support with a pure heart. Um, it's not hard at all. Sometimes, yes, of course, there are so many personalities, right? And people have questions like, um, what should we talk about? Oh, this person is posting too many times. This is not okay. And then we just have to give like a gentle reminder that it's okay. And then through these questions, through the years, right, seeing how things have evolved, we have come up with rules. Of course you do need like some basic ground rules, right? But it's not punitive, right? It's not like, oh, this is not okay and we are, going to throw you out. No, nothing like that, right? And everything can be solved with a little bit of care, right? So just letting people know that it's okay. If that person is not behaving the way we expect them to behave, we'll reach out to them. We will not call them out, right, in public. But we have our ground rules actually in the description. And we also have, how should I say, there was a time actually. So these spin-offs that happened, Neha, you talk about the gardening group, right? The marketplace. Those were a result of the interactions when people said, oh, it's becoming too noisy. I'm asking a question and it's getting round because now people are trying to sell something, or they're, posting something about somebody else who is not part of this. So that's when we got the marketplace, where we were like, okay, you don't talk about any selling in the main group. In the main group, you only ask questions that you need help with. Then if you have any gardening interests, you go to the gardening group. And then as WhatsApp has also grown, right, we have thought about like, should we turn it into a community? But we have halted on that. Like, we're paused on that right now because we are not sure with how it would look like. So we will, I think, reconvene again as admins and try to figure that out. But yes, it's easy. I would say it's relatively easy because we have very basic expectations from people, and so it's not very hard for people to be here and you know not misbehave.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So my next question was going to be like, how do you handle conflicts or disagreements, or how do you ensure conversation remain inclusive and civil? But you already mentioned that you have already laid out the rules from the very beginning, and you keep reminding
Hmm.
that these are the rules that you should follow, and it is now volunteered. Like, you just expect people to be civil, and that is the
Yeah,
only
yeah, yeah.
expectation.
And maybe I should take you like a step back. So these rules are recent, right? Like when we got these official admins in place, and so we have our own admin group where we sometimes meet up. Like we are like, oh, this is happening. Like, what should we do? So that when you ask that question about like how do you handle any kind of like challenges, we have our safe space as well to reach out and decide, is this okay? We also have a way of making sure the right person is joining the group because, as we said, right, we have the marketplace where people give out their home addresses. And so we want to make sure that, we have people who are actually saying who they are.
I mean, there's already so much going on in your life, your work and kids. Has there ever been a moment where you felt burnt out or overwhelmed by the responsibility?
Um, no, it's no. So there's another thing also. We have 12 admins, and each admin takes a week. So we rotate.
Okay.
And so not one person is always, like not everybody is on call all the time, right? So that's really nice. But during the week when I am in charge, sometimes one or two times I have felt when there are too many people who are requesting to join, and we have a process to go through before we let them join the community. And that takes a little bit of time, right? So that's sometimes I felt like, oh my God, I can't do it now. But we have also let the community know that just because you sent a request doesn't mean that it's gonna happen immediately, right? Like, give us a week. So we are trying to set those expectations in place, that this is a volunteer led, group. And so everybody needs to be mindful of each other's time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's amazing to know because I mean, I as a member and I didn't have any visibility in how the admin works. I didn't realize because I remember Priti when I asked you like,
Mm.
oh, message something. And I'm like, yeah, well, how important is messaging in the group? I just requested to join. Of course, I'm going to join. And then as you explained to me like why I need to message, it was like, okay, these are security measures in place to confirm I am actually who I say
Mhm.
I am, which is really great. And I think didn't CIF also get recognized as one of the, if not the safest, like one of the most thriving communities in the
Yes, yes. And that's mainly because of Lata. She is one of our like initial founding members. And she was one of the admins for a very long time. And right now, she still is responsible for our Cambrian Indian community group in Facebook. So she manages that part, and we manage the WhatsApp group. But she's amazing. I think we are here where we are mainly because of her. like her work is amazing. And the initial members who started this, who had this idea, they are all so amazing and they do so much. Like we cannot even, like we don't do even one tenth of what they have done.
I mean, 800 plus. It's like running a company.
Yeah,
It's
it is. And the funny part is, so WhatsApp has a cap of 1,053, I believe, the group, or 55. And we are scared, like every day we are talking about like what will happen, because then we'll have to say no to a few, like when it crosses that number and we don't like that idea. So it's a dilemma, and I hope WhatsApp like changes that cap, and or we become a community which gives us a little bit more space bandwidth.
Yeah, and that takes me at least to the next kind of question in terms of like the tools and tactics. So you
Mhm.
mentioned there's obviously WhatsApp and the challenges with WhatsApp, and then you mentioned Lata DM assuming manages the Facebook group. So is there like a balance, or have you seen one tool or tactic work better than the other?
um I feel that, given the social media and how some people are not so comfortable with Facebook, people tend to be more open to joining WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been a little hard for, because when Lata posts something, and she hosts quite a few events, she leads the Mehendi night, right, and a couple other events, and she will post in the Facebook group, and then she will say, okay, you have to, RSVP there. And people who don't want to be on Facebook, then they're like, oh, but we're not there, we don't want to be there. So we have to figure out that part as well,
Yeah, yeah. So it's
but we
managing.
don't have an answer right now.
Yeah, yeah. I'm wondering, like, we've been talking a lot about how successful this venture has obviously been. Have you ever started or been part of a group that didn't actually work? And did you have any takeaways from that?
Yeah. So what brought me to this place actually is at work. So with Girl Scouts, during the pandemic, right? So I was in charge of the digital engagement space, and there wasn't any kind of, except for a Facebook group, and Facebook also, if for younger girls cannot join Facebook, and they shouldn't join Facebook, right? And so whenever we are reaching out to the parents, to the adults, but this organization is for younger girls, right? How do we reach out to them? And so I was able to connect with a volunteer. She's amazing. She used to work at Apple, and then she just, took voluntary retirement. And she was in charge of, and she had a lot of experience in fostering communities, online communities. And she said, hey, how about doing this for Girl Scouts? I'm like, that would be wonderful. And so she helped me figure out, like, she found an app, and she said this would be nice. And we played with it, and we were like, okay, this looks really good. And we tried. So we presented the idea. It was accepted. The board really liked that idea. And I was in charge of leading that project. And so we started talking about it. The girls were all super excited because it was an app. Um, they could easily get in. It was not like social media per se, right? And so there wasn't a lot of noise. It was so easy to reach out to another Girl Scout across, Northern California. Like there were just benefits and benefits. However, I feel like how Girl Scouts, the way we interact, the way we connect is so much of in person. And it's so traditional that it was really, really hard for people to wrap their head around. Why do we need yet another tool, right? We have email, we have Facebook. Why are you adding one more thing, right? And they're all volunteers, and it's really hard to, ask more of your volunteers. And so if your end goal, if everybody is not bought in, it's not gonna float. So
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's a very useful story to learn. Like ultimately, if it's a volunteer-run community, you want the volunteers' buy-in, and it's
Mm-hmm.
all based on trust and
Mm-hmm.
whatever your goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Preeti, how has your life changed through this experience? Like, what have you personally gained? You are giving so much back to the community by doing this voluntarily, and has how has that impacted you?
It's actually made me or taught me quite a bit. I wasn't like this. Like I wasn't so aware of people around me except for my bubble, right? Like as most people, I'm assuming are, or at least in India, the way we were, right? Our friends, our family, right? Um, and so when I come here and I see, and actually I think Girl Scouts taught me quite a bit about community, and leaning in and reaching out for help, right? Like we are taught to be resilient, to be self-sufficient, and do our best, right? um, and we don't hear this, oh, it takes a village. But I think I came here and I started hearing it takes a village. And I'm like, oh, okay. If we just took it for granted, like, yeah, we have our village, we don't have to create our village, right? And so I started becoming more aware of how what am I doing to others when I am touching their lives. How is it? And another thing that Girl Scout taught me was to leave a place better than you found it, right? And so I've been very mindful of that. And so again, with this community also, I felt like I'm here for a reason and not just for the namesake, right? So if I'm here, I need to make it better than how it was. And that's all. That's basically, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I wish there was such a community here in Austin, Texas. But I'll find out if there is. But there, I could also use a
you
village.
could be you could be the Lata.
Maybe this will inspire me to start a community. Uh, do you have any story or a moment to share from CIF that truly moved you or inspired you?
There's so many instances actually, because right now here in Cambrian, we have a close set of 8 friends. And as we have grown older, I think we have also become a little wiser. And so we go on trips together, and it has given our kids a space where they feel, oh, whenever you ask about, oh, what do you want to do for your birthday, oh, I want to go out with these families. That's their first natural thought. So I feel like having a space, a safe space, right, where your friends are like your family, where you suddenly don't know who to reach out to, and they are the people who are here to I remember a time when Ganesh's my husband's dad, he passed away, and we had to leave the kids here and go to India. And it was, I wasn't ready for it, and but my friend stepped in, my neighbor, and stepped in, and they just took care of everything. And 2 weeks we were not here. Like, it's not, we are going to India, it's not like I can just fly back in like 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever, right? And my son, he was in fourth grade, I believe, elementary. And my daughter was in middle school, so it was not like they're like old enough to like do everything, so they needed somebody. So my friends would take turns to come and stay in the house. So I feel that they're more than family now, amount of the love and care that they have given. So yeah, it's because of CIF.
It's an amazing community for sure. Um, just a kind of like closing question in terms of what advice you would give, because you've been part of this thriving community and you've seen the challenges in building it, but also the huge advantages of having built a community. If somebody wanted to start their own community, whether it's big or small, but they're very unsure of how
Mhm.
they even begin, what would your advice be?
I would say whenever you start, and that I learned actually with my daughter's Girl Scout troop. I keep on coming back to Girl Scouts because it has had like a profound impact on my life. To be successful, you need to be surrounded by like-minded people. You need to have their support. And so if you want to start a community, get a set of like-minded people and make sure that you all are on the same page, that you all know exactly what you want to get out of the space that you're trying to create, right? And then just go from there. Your members will let you know what they want, what kind of support they want, what kind of engagement they want. With CIF, we have been lucky because Indians trying to find a space outside of India. So we don't have to really engage them. Like they are engaged. They are here because they know why this community was created, right? We are here to help each other. That's it, basically. So we don't need to make sure like, oh, what is going to make them happy? Oh, like they they are happy when we are celebrating festivals, and when they are not happy is when things are not going right in their life, and then they have the space to ask the questions. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Finding like-minded people and ideas that spark interest in a group of people is the great way to go. I think I was even very intrigued when I remember you mentioned about Antakshari. And again, for listeners who don't know the word Antakshari, it refers to a
mhm.
game that we often used to play as kids in India about like Bollywood songs and so on. And I remember you and Ganesha you had mentioned like here's this Antakshari, like go to the library and play. And these are little things, but it just reminds you of some things you had done in the past and just makes you feel more at home if you're kind of like feeling lonely and stuff. So thank you so much, Preeti Didi, for sharing, all your wisdom and or your experiences across building this community. And you reminded us today that community isn't about, who's in the group. It's about how we show up for each other. And for all our listeners, please remember you don't need a big group to feel connected. Even two people showing up with intention can create a community. And as always, you can find this episode and all past episodes wherever you listen to podcasts on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and more.
And check out our behind the scene blogs, community stories at chocolateandspicetalk.com. Send us your thoughts, comments. We love hearing from you. And don't forget to rate us, share your experience, and share this podcast with a friend. See you
Thank
next
you.
time.
See you next time.
Bye. Thank you.